Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Julie LaRocque with the South Florida Water Management District. We're working on getting several attendees logged into the Zoom meeting, so give us just a moment for that. I'll watch the numbers go up, but I do want to thank you for joining us today at the quarterly meeting of the Everglades Technical Oversight Committee. And it looks like we have everybody in the meeting. So I'd like to go around and do some introductions, both in the auditorium here as well as online. Sorry, Mr. Barquette, I did not do a mic check with you, but I see you're here. So we'll introduce John Barquette, the Special Master.
Good morning.
Good morning. And then I'd like to go around on the Zoom first and then move over here to the auditorium. First of all, today representing the refuge, we have Rolf Olson. Good morning, Rolf. Glad to have you here. I don't know if you have any panelists on here right now. I don't think so, but if we did, we would introduce them. Donato Surratt, representing Everglades National Park. Welcome, Donato. I think you might have some panelists online if you'd like to introduce them.
I apologize, I haven't looked on the online yet. Do we have Bill Walker, Dan Scheit?
We did try to do a mic check with Dan earlier. He's logged in at least.
I do see Dan Scheit. Can you give us an audio check?
Yes, good morning, thank you.
Thank you. Dilip Sindhi, are you online? Can you give us audio?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I'm online.
Thanks, Dilip. Bill Walker? Bob Johnson?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Thank you for your patience as we do a little combo of introductions and mic checks. We have, I think maybe that's it for you, Donato. Also, online on Zoom, we should have Ed Smith from DEP. Ed?
Good morning, Julie. This is Ed Smith, DEP. Thanks for having me this morning.
You bet. And could you please introduce your DEP people who are panelists? I see a few folks here from DEP.
Sure. We have, from DEP, we have Jordan Tidio and Kenny Heyman. And then as our outside counsel, we have Chuck DeMonico. Good morning.
Okay, thank you. Here in the audience from the district, I did want you to be aware we have Jody Hutchins, Chelsea Q. They will both be presenting during the meeting today. I've got a note taker in the back. I have a couple of other folks, Stuart Van Horn and Lawrence Galanter here, just in case they decide to come up and speak. So glad to have you here. Did you want to introduce Kathy? You?
Hi. Also, my supervisor is the refuge supervisor for all of Florida and the Caribbean, Kathleen Burchett.
Glad to have you all here. I think we've got the agencies.
Bill Walker, can I get an audio check on you? Eric Stabino, can I get an audio check on you?
Okay, I also would like to introduce on Zoom, we have Matt Morrison. If you could say hello, please, Matt.
Good morning, everyone.
Okay, I know there are a few stragglers that we've missed, so if you just logged into the meeting and we missed you, sorry about that. Also, we have several folks on here, like Department of Justice. If you guys could just unmute and say hello so we can introduce you, please.
Yes, good morning. This is Judy Coleman from the Department of Justice.
Hi, Judy.
And Maggie Woodward from DOJ. Thanks.
Okay. do have Mary Cruz from the district. Do you want to introduce yourself real quick, Mary Cruz?
Hi, Mary Cruz Fincher, Office of Counsel for the South Florida Water Management District.
Okay, I think I've kind of worked through everybody I see. Is there anyone else on Zoom as a panelist who would like to introduce themselves? And I see somebody has a
Julie,
hand raised.
this is Dan Crawford. Can I introduce on behalf of the Corps of Engineers, please?
Sure.
Yep. Good morning.
Sorry,
Dan
Dan.
Crawford. No, you're fine. TOC rep for the Corps of Engineers, and also supporting from the Army Corps, we have Brooks Moore, Ken Bradshaw, and Jim Riley from Jacksonville, and we have Phil Steffen and Matt Axtell from Army Corps headquarters. Over.
Great, thanks a lot, Dan. I appreciate that. I know we've mic checked a few of those folks, so thank you. And then Ed, you have your hand up.
Yeah, good morning, Julie. I missed Mylene Sotolongo Lopez is on for DEP also.
Good morning, all.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. I know travel was a little difficult for today for some folks, and impossible for at least one of our reps. So I do want to just mention, if you're not used to seeing Rolf Olson up here representing the refuge, Lori is stuck somewhere in North Carolina with a whole lot of water and very little ability to communicate. So Rolf is taking care of that for today. All right, a few administrative things. I do think we got everybody introduced, so hopefully I didn't miss anyone. If you are on the phone or your computer, please mute one or the other, or you're not using both sources. Also, please mute yourself and raise your hand and wait to be called on if possible. I know it's a little hard when you're excited. We want you to wait to be called on. And then if you are using a phone, you're going to press *9 to raise your hand. You're going to press *6 to unmute your microphone. We will take public comment. We do have a voting item, actually. We take public comment before we vote. And we will otherwise take public comment on everything at the end of the meeting. If you are a panelist, we want to try to have things flow a little bit smoothly here today, and it's worked pretty well the last several meetings. So while we're discussing something, a panelist should raise their hand. If you are not a TOC rep, wait for your rep or for me to call on you before you unmute to speak. Your agency representative could call on you at any time. Donato just called on Bill Walker, for example. So that's kind of how we want to do that, to kind of allow things to flow smoothly today. We are glad to be able to host this hybrid meeting, where it could be in person or online today. So thank you for that. I already have a public comment card here. So if you're here in person and want to make a public comment, we ask that you fill out this crazy form. And otherwise, if you are an attendee in Zoom, we will call on you during the public comment period if you raise your hand. And I've been pretty good at noticing all of that. We got the raised hand. We don't actually use the chat feature in Zoom for these meetings in terms of interacting, but if you're having a technical difficulty, you can use the chat feature. If you would typically be emailing Violetta Chuka with a technical issue, please, I think most of you have my email. You could email me. I'll try to keep up with that, but Violetta is out of the country today. And then I checked yesterday, so assuming nothing has changed, you can actually find a lot of documents on the Technical Oversight Committee webpage. In particular, under the read aheads. If you click under the read aheads for today's meeting, you're going to find the first calendar quarter settlement agreement report, which is what we're briefing on today. You're going to see slides for agenda item 3, which is Jody's working group update. There are also slides from Chelsea on the quarterly report. And since we're looking at doing a vote, we will be, you'll find on the website the infamous 3 questions that we got from the principals back in 2016. That's what we're using to kind of step through the process of addressing exceedances. Let's see what else. Also, on the main TOC webpage, we have the quality assessment report for the quarter and the data which is associated with that. And then we have tables, data tables there. We have the refuge total phosphorus compliance table, which covers 2007 through the first quarter of 24, provisional Shark River Slough tracking, and Taylor Slough and Coastal Basin tracking report. So those are all data tables that you'll find on the Technical Oversight Committee homepage. And I think we're ready to actually start the meeting, the rest of the meeting. So I do really appreciate you guys being here. First thing we need to do is look at approving the meeting summary from the June meeting. And I did not read that off to you guys, but I believe those notes are also posted on the webpage. So I would entertain, we sent these notes out to the team earlier. We got one comment back and we did adjust the notes. So I would entertain a motion if you have one about the meeting notes, please.
Julie, I motion to approve the notes.
I'll second it.
Great, thank you. Dan, Ed, any dissension? Is everybody in favor of approving these June notes?
Hey, Julie, this is Ed Smith. No objections here.
And this is Dan Crawford. I also support approving the minutes.
Great, thank you all so much. Next up on the agenda is Chelsea Q. She's going to present for us the first calendar quarter of 2024, the settlement agreement report. So come on up, Chelsea.
This mouse does not work. Okay, let me find the presentation. Okay, good morning, TUC reps, Mr. Barquette. Thank you for having me to present the settlement agreement report for the first quarter of 2024. So we have compliance results for individual month of January, February, March for the refuge, and the 12-month tracking results for Shark ending in January, February, March for Shark River Slough and Taylor Slough and Coastal Basins. So because of compliance for Shark River Slough and Taylor Slough Coastal Basins is assessed on a water year basis from October to September. So the first quarter, as a halfway through water year 2024, we're still presenting the tracking results based on provisional data. So because the data hasn't been finalized yet, so even these tracking results is subject to change. Actually, we did have a change in from last June's meeting for 1 month. So I will cover it when I get to Shark River Slough section. So this summary table covers the compliance results for 3 areas separated by these green rows. So so the refuge compliance results at the top, with the Shark River Slough in the middle, and the Taylor Slough and Coastal Basins at the bottom. So looking vertically along these columns, so the second column represents either stage or flows. And this column serves as a basis to calculate the compliance standards. So for the refuge, we have a stage-based limit, and this is the column next to it, so the third column. And then Shark River Slough have a flow-based limit, then Taylor Swift Coastal Basins has a constant limit. So among these three areas, Shark River Slough typically has the lowest compliance level. And next to this column to the right, the fourth column represents the observed data that needs to meet the compliance standards, shown to the left column. So among these three areas, typically Shark River Slough has the highest TP levels. So the for compliance results, all the other areas met the compliance except for Shark River Slough. So with the Shark River Slough, where it has the lowest limit and the highest TP concentrations. So you see, obviously, the TP concentrations exceeded the limit. And this slide shows the compliance results for refuge. So this top section in the table shows the regular first quarter we're reporting, and the next 5 months shows the outlook with preliminary data. So you can see in the next, these 5 months, still the observed geometric mean consistently was consistent below this long-term level for each month. And this slide shows the monthly compliance status for the refugee in the past 36 months. Here, the background purple area shows the marsh stage when we went there collect samples. And this red line represents the long-term level, which is standard, and it's inverse related to stage. So when marsh stage were high, you can see here in October to December, then the long-term levels reach the lowest. And those blue dots represent monthly geometric mean TP concentrations and need to stay below this red line. So here the red dot represent an excursion in June 2022, and since then, for every month, the geometric mean has met the long-term levels. And this slide just shows the similar information. So move on to Shark River Slough. This table shows the tracking compliance results, the 12-month tracking ending in each month. And Shark River Slough has a flow-based limit. As you can see, the second column shows the 12-month flow consistently exceeded 1 million acre feet. And as a result, the long-term limit has remained the lowest, possible lowest level based on the appendix equations, so 7.6 parts per billion. And the 12-month tracking flow mean TP concentration started decreasing from January, then reached the lowest from June to May, 7.7 parts per billion. And this number was the correction from the June meeting. So June, the provisional data showing that was 7.6, actually with the S33 flow data updated, so it's 7.7 parts per billion. So with so much flow and wet condition, still you see every month these 12-month tracking flow with mean still exceeded the 12-month long-term limit. And this slide shows the annual compliance status in the long-term limit period. And here, these blue bars represent the annual flow-weighted mean, and this red line represents the annual long-term limit. And these 4 hashed blue bars represent the most recent 4 years when method 1.5 was applied. So you can see 2020 met the compliance, and these 2021 to 2023, these recent 3 years exceeded the limit. And this slide displays daily flow into Shark River Slough over the past 3 years. So this red line represents the flow at S334, and above it is the net flow that went into Shark River Slough. So here you can see the first quarter. Usually the first quarter is the starting of the dry season. The flow is typically was smaller, but this year you can see that flow was substantial, quite high because the impact from El Nino condition. So this slide shows the daily flows and into West Shark River through via S12A, B, C, D from the top to the bottom. So here I also want to make another correction. So from the June meeting, so about the S12A and S12B closure date. So based on COP operation, so S12A can conditional open till November 1st. S12B can conditional open till December 1st, depending on the WCA3 stage. So the Army Corps of Engineers implement temporary deviation from the COP operational plan, allow these 2 structures still flowing past their closure dates. So that's why you see in this first quarter, S12A, B are still flowing. And here also S12C and D, you can see the flow is substantial, quite high for the first quarter. And this slide displays flow discharge into the eastern L29 canal. You can see that in this second canal, most of the flow, 95% of flow come from S333 and S33N. This slide shows the similar information. So now looking at this slide, showing the sampling events over the past 3 years. Here, those cyan dots represent the biweekly TP levels flowing into Shark River Slough, and those blue bars represent the flow at the biweekly sampling dates. So these pairs, so flow and biweekly flow and the TP concentrations, compose the basis to calculate the 12-month tracking flow with mean TP concentrations. Now those, I said the pairs, 26 pairs for each year, the biweekly flow and TP concentrations composite together, then calculate this blue diamond value that represents the 12-month tracking flow with mean ending in each month. So it's rolling every month. So this slide, so these diamonds represent the 12-month tracking flow with mean TP concentrations. And this red dashed line represents the 12-month tracking long-term limit. From this slide, you can see the after the Tamimitral flow formula is implemented in around this time, March 2021. Since then, the 12-month tracking flow MTP concentration has consistently above this long-term limit. And you can sort of see the impact from COP implementation. So first, it increased the total flow, which led the 12-month long-term limit consistent at or near 7.6 parts per billion. Another impact is the increased flow at low stage, which also caused the 12-month fluid mean TP concentration elevated. That's why you see the challenge to meet the limit. So this slide shows the system conditions in the past 3 years. So the first quarter ending here, March 31st, then actually we extended a few months through August. So these are the look ahead. Actually, we're close to finish water year 2024. So here on the top, these solid lines represent the WCA3 stage. And these yellow dot in the middle represent the TP concentrations. And then in the bottom, these shaded blue area represent the total flow sent into Shark River Slough. So water year 2024 start from here, this black line, you can see the stage was quite high. Then usually you will see a steep decline stage when we get into the dry season, like you see these 2 years. But this year, because of the El Nino impact, we see a stage maintained still pretty high. And then as a result, you can see the TP concentrations remained quite low since September, typically below 10 parts per billion. And this was a very rare condition. Then till the flow continued and then decreased to a relatively low level, but never stopped. And then this wet season coming in, you can see the stage increased again. So still with this rare El Nino condition, a very high stage, low TP concentrations, water year 2024 is still likely exceeded the limit, 7.6 parts per billion. So move on to Taylor Slough and coastal basins. Here the 12-month tracking flow, and in each month is about 400,000 acre feet, and the flow in mean TP concentration is 4.8 parts per billion. And looking at the long-term compliance, you can see it's the annual flow in mean TP concentration is far below the limit, 11 parts per billion. And this slide displays flows delivered to Taylor Slough and coastal basins as this shaded purple area represents flow pumped by S332D. So most of the flow delivered to Taylor Slough come from S332D pumping. And then some flow come from S18C. The other structures flow was much smaller. And this slide displays the daily flow over the past 3 years. As you can see, S332D flow was always quite substantial, the large portion, then followed by S18C. Then in the first quarter, G737 was closed in January, and S328 also delivered very minimum flow. And this slide displays flows in and out of S332D flowway You can see the source water come from S332D pumping, shown in this purple shaded area. And some that flow into the north, past S332DX1, shown in this red line. And some of the water move down to Taylor Slough via S328, shown in this neon green line. This slide shows the sampling events, TP concentration in sign dots, and the flow in blue bars. You can this serves the basis for the 12-month tracking flow mean concentration calculation. So you can see the sign dot represent TP concentration will consist below 10 parts per billion for a long time. So those event flow and TP concentrations composed together, then calculate this blue diamond representing the 12-month ending in each month flow mean TP concentration. And this last number has last diamond, 4.8 parts per billion, is the number we're reporting for in the first quarter 2024. So each month, ending each month was 4.8 parts per billion. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Chelsea. Really appreciate that. Do any of the reps have comments or questions for Chelsea at this time? I see no hands raised, and Donato's thinking, did you? Sorry, don't mean to put you on the spot, but I can tell you're looking, Donato.
No, it's just I'm going blind, that's all. Chelsea, thank you for the presentation. Back on slide 17, I was just curious, did we just run out of monitoring, or is there potentially a problem at S328?
I think, Mike, do you have any update for S328?
I'm not sure if we have somebody in the audience who has the date on this. I'm aware that something rather negative happened to the flow sensor there, and it's actually our monitoring staff that need to be able to go out and fix that at this time. Mike Jennings in the back has also checked in with our hydro data management folks, and at the moment it seems like we may not even have a way to estimate those flows. So I don't think we're gonna change the limit by adding in that flow data, but did appreciate you asking about that because it is something that has occurred. So folks who are looking in the database, et cetera, you're not gonna see all of the flow data for the 328, but I don't remember the date that it stopped recording.
Thank you for that discussion.
Okay, anything else for Chelsea? Okay, thanks a lot, Chelsea. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda, we have Jody Hutchins. She's going to give us an update on the S333 working group.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jody Hutchins with the South Florida Water Management District, and I'm here today to provide an update on the S333 working group. So just as a refresher, the S333 working group recommended engineering and maintenance solutions that is listed on this slide. This is what was presented during my last update to the TOC back in June. The engineering maintenance solutions include the removal of canal sediments 1,500 feet upstream of the S333 structure in both the L67A canal and the L29 canal, as well as upstream of the S333 complex intake bay. We call this, we're breaking this down into 3 separate tasks for all of these items shown on this slide. So the removal of the canal sediments, we're identifying as task 1. Task 1 also includes the installation of 2 low-sill weirs, and those are going to be located at the terminus of the dredged area in both the L67A canal and L29 canal upon completion of the removal of the canal sediments. And this is to prevent sediments that's in the undredged area of the canal to kind of push into the area that was just dredged. Task 2 includes the installation of low-sill weirs, and these will be installed by the use of geotubes. And just for reference, I included a picture of the geotubes. It's basically a synthetic bag that's filled with material to allow it to sink to the canal bottom, and they can be stacked on top of each other to get to their desired height. The locations that the working group conceptualized for these low-sill weirs are shown on this figure by the red bars. And then finally, task 3 includes the monitoring and assessment plan. This will be implemented directly following task 1, which is the removal of the canal sediments. And the purpose is to evaluate the effectiveness of these engineering and maintenance solutions. Also to identify if there are any optimizational opportunities. For example, do we need to fine-tune the location of these low-sill weirs, or maybe we're seeing areas that are, reaccumulating with sediment that we need to go out and address. And also to inform future actions. So at this point, we're not sure if this dredging is just going to be a one-time thing, or if the monitoring and assessment plan, the data that we gather from that, may indicate areas of reaccumulation in which the working group may recommend some ongoing maintenance to periodically go out and repeat some dredging. But again, we're not going to know that until we start collecting data, and is part of the purpose for implementing this monitoring and assessment plan. So this slide, I just wanted to provide some highlights on progress since I last came to you back in June. If you recall, there were sediment studies completed last year, and those sediment studies, as well as the hydrodynamic study, is what led us to the engineering and maintenance solutions that we are working on today. And what we learned from those sediment studies, one of the things we learned is that there's approximately 10,000 cubic yards of material, 10,000 cubic yards of sediments within this region that we're looking to dredge. What we learned from the preliminary survey that the district completed is that there's actually 30,000 cubic yards of material to be dredged. So that's a drastic increase in the project. And based on that, we needed to shift, make adjustment to how we're going to go about implementing this project. And we've also are completing our geotechnical investigation, and the geotechnical investigation has been complete. We're currently looking at post-processing the data. Preliminary results that we're seeing indicate that there could be even greater quantities than the 30,000 cubic yards of material. So because of this larger than originally anticipated dredging project, our engineers needed to adjust the project design and specifications. For example, they were challenged with finding a site of adequate size for the dredged material management area, otherwise known as the DMMA, to process the dredged material. And the figure on this slide depicts the sites that were evaluated for the DMMA. There's also significant construction activity ongoing in this area as a result of the SEP South features. So we needed to make sure that we're not impeding construction traffic or selecting a site that has already been slated for SEP South. So the only suitable site to handle the amount of dredging material that we're going to be dealing with is a 12-acre area directly east of the L67A canal, shown by this green area on the figure here. And this site, it's a small disturbed area that's isolated by berms. However, since this area is classified as a wetland, it did trigger some additional permitting acquisitions. So we're working on getting these permit applications over to FDEP and the Army Corps of Engineers. We should be making those submittals this week. And those permit applications will also include our intermediate project design and specifications, which the intermediate portion has been completed to reflect the updated design that was needed to handle this increase in dredged quantities. So moving on to task 2, which includes the LOSO weirs. The LOSO weir round 1 modeling has been complete, and round 2 is underway. What we learned from round 1 was that depositional velocities has been confirmed with the locating the weirs and the locations that the working group conceptualized. So these depositional velocities, they allow for the sediments to deposit rather than transporting downstream through the S333 structure. So that was good news. And then round 2 modeling is underway, and what the focus will be there is to fine-tune the height that the weir should be. We're learning that by increasing the heights of the weir, we're seeing an increase in benefit. So we just need to check that we're not impeding our flood control operations or to make sure that there's not going to be any navigational impacts. So that's something that we're working on and will be completed during round 2. And finally, with task 3, our monitoring and assessment plan has been completed. We've gone through several iterations of that plan, and it has been fully reviewed and vetted by the S333 working group. So that is great news. Our next steps will be to start working on developing our scopes of work. So that way we are set up and ready to enter into a contract and to begin monitoring as soon as we have completed the dredging under task 1. So now moving on to the schedule. So this is the format that I presented during my last update back in June. And I just want to kind of focus on what's changed. So for task 1, you'll notice preliminary survey has been completed. That has been left unchanged. However, the items following that, the final permits, the geotechnical investigations, and the final project design and specifications. So those items under this task 1, we needed to push the schedule out to the right on those. And that is for the reasons I described on the previous slide. We really just want to make sure that we're doing this right, and we have a substantial amount of dredged material that we're dealing with, more than originally anticipated. So we're currently, like I mentioned, working on getting those permit applications over to the respective agencies and planning for having those permits in hand by November. The solicitation, contract execution, and the construction items of this task, I did not make any changes to the schedule at this time. As we work on getting our permits with the respective agencies, we're gonna have a better handle on if the schedule will need to be adjusted, and if so, how. So I plan on coming back to the TOC at our December meeting. And if we do learn that we need to make changes to the schedule, I will report that at that December update. I do want to emphasize that this work that, the construction activities associated with the dredging, it's planned for the dry season. And as you all are aware, that is extremely ideal. And we want, the working group is committed and it's working very hard to expedite the process, given the changes that were needed to the project design to ensure that we can still accomplish that. So moving on to task 2, there no changes to the schedule. What was changed is that round 1 modeling, we noted that as complete. Round 2 modeling is still in process. That is planned to be completed by the end of this calendar year. Following that, we will work towards the project design and specifications, move into getting our permits that are needed. And from there, we will work towards the solicitation, contract execution, and construction of the 5 low-sill weirs. And again, this is exactly as was reported last time, plan to complete task 2 within the first quarter of calendar year 2026. And then finally, task 3, this schedule also remains unchanged. I did note here that we did complete the draft and the final monitoring and assessment plan. So the next steps would be to enter into a grant agreement to authorize the district use of funding by DEP to conduct this, to carry out the monitoring and assessment plan. We're going to be working on developing our SOW, our scopes of work, for our contract, to enter into a contract and implement the monitoring and assessment plan in the third quarter of calendar year 2025, which is directly following the completion of task 1. And that is all I had for today. So I will take any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jody. Does anyone have questions? And I'm going to intuit here. Mr. Barquette, it looks like you unmuted first. Did you want to go ahead and make comments?
You're very observant. Yes, just number one, thank you. That was a very lucid and candid description and explanation, which I appreciate. I just wanted to make one point, which is consistent with what I've said before. We have been dealing with the Shark River Slough exceedances now for several water years, and looks like another one. And I'm sure I probably speak for the Department of Justice in saying this as well, since the department has an interest in making sure the consent decree is followed in a reasonable period of time. If you're running into any roadblocks that would seriously affect the schedule, I would urge you to reach out to council, because I'm sure council will tell you that they want to move this along. I don't ever want to have to go back to the judge, because I'm concerned about the timing of implementation of remedial measures. So just don't be shy if you're running into roadblocks to get help from the lawyers to try to clear those roadblocks. That's the only point I wanted to make.
Okay, thank you. Dan, you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you, Julie. And Jody, thank you for the thorough presentation. I just want to, on behalf of the Corps of Engineers, I just want to acknowledge that from talking to my engineering team and the team that's processing the regulatory and 408 permits, that the Corps of Engineers is very appreciative of the collaborative effort that the Water Management District has undertaken, the very open dialogue process and the responsiveness to all the comments and questions that have been raised along the way. And to Mr. Barquette's point, I think that's going to be greatly helpful with ensuring that we, the Corps of Engineers, can issue the requisite permits, in a timely fashion. So again, just want to thank you, Jody, for the update. Over.
Thank you, Dan. Next up is Ed Smith. Go ahead, Ed.
Morning, Julie. I just wanted to kind of reiterate Dan's point. The department is the permitting agency for part of this. They have a role also, and I did speak with Jordan TDO and Kelly Edson with our permitting team, and we feel confident because of the coordination we've been working with the district and with the Corps that we think we can meet these deadlines without any hiccups. So we're really pushing forward to make sure we do keep these projects on track. It's really exciting to see the timelines and see things come to fruition. So thank you, Jody, for that update. We do appreciate that.
Okay, thank you, Ed, and Dan, both of you, for those comments.
Dr. Walker, we see your hand up.
So,
Dr. Walker.
Bill, you're going to need to unmute yourself. Dr. Walker, neither of your logins seem to be unmuted, so if you are able to unmute yourself, that would be great. Thank you. Okay.
Bill, if you want to text me whatever your concern or comment or suggestion is, I could probably read it. But we're going to continue on with the agenda.
Okay, thanks. I was going to ask if you wanted to do that. Does anyone else have any comments or questions for Chelsea at this time?
Jody.
That's Jody.
Sorry, Jody.
I don't have a question for Jody. I'm wondering if, Ed, maybe you could tell us a little bit about the grant process.
Hey, Donato. Yeah, so we, the department has committed to funding this effort. So we get funding from the legislature each year to apply towards projects such as this nature that are directed at addressing nutrient issues. So we've been working with the district to make sure that we have the right funding pot identified or right funding source identified. And we'll be working with the district to make sure that that grant agreement is in place and ready to go well in advance of the work needing to be done. So pretty confident that we'll be, we'll make that. We get, like I said, we get consistent funding from the legislature each year. We're very grateful for that funding, specifically for projects of this nature.
Thanks, Ed.
Okay, now anything else for Jody before I loop back around to Chelsea's presentation? Anything for Jody? Great. Jody, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I did want to loop back around to Chelsea though. So Donato, you had asked about the stage sensor at the S328, and I just kind of wanted to loop back around and mention that, we didn't just let the sensors fail. As happens in many other locations around the conservation areas, those sensors were vandalized. They were actually shot. And so, we have some great technology collecting data out there, and in several cases that I'm aware of, it makes really great target practice for folks. And so that's actually what happened there. But we're working as hard as we can to get those sensors replaced ASAP. So just wanted to get back to that. So thank you.
Thanks for that update.
I don't know if everybody could see the look on your face, Donato, but I could. Yeah, it's a little frustrating, but that's okay. All right, our next agenda item is,
Okay, Bill just sent me his question.
okay, we got Bill Walker's question.
Was how much of the 10,000 sediment will be dredged from the L29 versus the L67 canal?
Do you know the answer to that, Jody? And I think you're...
Dr. Walker, thank you. So I'd have to go back to look at the preliminary survey that was completed by the district, but I will tell you that the majority of the sediments that have been accumulated in the area that we're planning on dredging is right where the L67A and L29 canal converge, right at the S333 structure.
Thank you.
All right, you know, that's helpful. Thank you, Jody. All right, now we'll get back to our meeting agenda. The next agenda item is a follow-up discussion of the Shark River Slough exceedance for federal water year 23. You guys will see an asterisk there. I am going to confess, we have like 3 or 4 people ready to take this agenda item. So I don't know who wants to speak up first, if we're going to ask Ed or Donato.
Well, I can motion for us to do the 3 questions. I can go through the reading of the 3 questions if that's helpful. Is that where we want to go? Well, I will start there.
And I'm looking for Ed here. Okay, so Ed's got his hand up too. Do you guys want to duke it out, or was one of you like to start this?
I yield to Ed. Go ahead, Ed.
I'm okay with Donato starting. I appreciate that, Donato. Thank you.
All right, so we have gone through the review of the water year 2023 exceedance, and it's now time for all of our representatives to discuss how we feel about that, and the principals have given us some guidance on how to proceed in that path, and they've offered us 3 questions that we need to evaluate to close out water year 23 and take any actions that are necessary. So the first question here is, has the TOC sufficiently evaluated the relevant information for a better understanding of what might have caused the exceedance? From my perspective, I definitely evaluated the district's presentation, performed my own analysis, and I come to the same conclusion that we are still seeing resuspension in front of the 333, and I do still believe it is related to the sediments consistent with the water year 2019 exceedance concerns. So based on this evaluation, I think that we have sufficiently evaluated the water year 2023. I pass it to the rest of the representatives.
Okay, so I do agree. I think I've certainly, and my staff here, we've evaluated the data to see what may have caused the exceedance. Ed, Dan, and Rolf, if you want to speak up.
Hey, Julie, this is Ed Smith, DEP. I concur with that. The exceedance that we're seeing appears to be related to the same issue that occurred in 2019. So.
I was able to talk to Lori yesterday, and she concurred and said the same thing.
Okay, thank you. And Dan?
And Julie, on behalf of the Corps of Engineers, we concur as well that the local drivers that we've been investigating since water year 19 are attributable to the exceedance we saw in 23.
Okay, thank you.
So the second question reads, has the TOC determined that there is substantial evidence that the exceedance is due to error or extraordinary natural phenomenon? we have concluded that it is not due to error or extraordinary natural phenomenon.
And again, I'll go. I'm looking right how he did a great presentation describing that at our last meeting, so I do agree that it was not caused by that.
And then, so our final question is the third: if there is no substantial evidence that the exceedance was due to error or extraordinary
Oh,
natural...
hold on one second. I still need Rolf and Dan and Ed to do the second question. Sorry, Donato.
Thank you, Julie. Ed Smith, DEP here. Yeah, we agree. Our evaluation shows that we could not identify any error or extraordinary natural phenomenon that could be related to the exceedance.
Great. Dan?
Concur with all three of you so far. No indication of extraordinary natural phenomena or data errors.
Thank you. And Rolf?
The refuge concurs.
Thank you all. Okay, now you can go, Donato.
So the third and final question: if there is no substantial evidence that the exceedance was due to error or extraordinary natural phenomenon, has the TOC applied Appendix C to consider what additional remedies may need to be taken? And I think we are still on the path for the same remedies we identified for water year 2019, and we seem like we'll have this in place by 2026 based on the presentation Jody just gave us. So I think we have sufficiently dealt with Appendix C, or reviewed Appendix C.
And I wonder if you mind if I add a little something here, and we'll probably need to take some public comment, but are you suggesting that there are no additional remedies that need to be taken?
I'm suggesting that right now the remedy needs to be implemented so we can evaluate it, see how it performs, and determine if any additional remedies would be needed. But right now, I think the measure we have in place is the one that's sufficient.
Okay, and you know I'm asking the way I am because of words can be important. Ed, Dan, I don't know if we're voting or I'm taking public comment right now, but if I could get your comments and I could take public comment and then we can go back to this, that would be great.
Hey, Julie, this is Ed Smith, DEP. We also agree that at this time, no remedies are being recommended from the department, that we need to stick to the plan that was provided to us from the principals and get that implemented as expeditiously as possible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dan?
On behalf of the Corps of Engineers, we also concur. We think that since the driving causes of the exceedance is the same as what we've been working on since water year 19, that the solution is also the same. And echoing Ed's point of expedient implementation of the recommendations from the 333 working group is responsive to address what we saw with water year 23.
Okay, Rolf, did you have any comments? And then we will see if anyone has public comments specific to this.
The refuge agrees with what everybody's been talking about.
Thank you. The district also agrees with you guys. I don't think we have any additional remedies to recommend at this time. I would welcome folks who are logged in as attendees. If you have public comments specific to this item, we'll take those right now and then we'll finalize. I guess I'll call this a draft vote until we get done. Anybody have any public comments about the proposal to not recommend any additional remedies at this time? Okay, I don't see any hands going up. Judith Coleman, you have a comment.
Yes, good morning. I know this isn't public comment because I'm a panelist, but I did just want to address the special master's concern. The Department of Justice does regularly receive updates from the federal agencies about the working group project and its timeline specifically, and ensuring that these updates are provided to the TOC. And so we are monitoring this situation and working closely with our agency clients to ensure that progress continues. I just wanted to confirm that for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judith. Really appreciate it. Okay, I don't see any other comments. I'm going to have to go around again. If each of you could say that you agree that we are not going to recommend any additional remedies for this particular exceedance at this time. And I'll go first. I agree.
The refuge agrees.
Everglades National Park agrees.
DEP agrees.
Corps of Engineers agrees as well.
Okay, so thank you.
Dr. Walker, do you have audio this time? We see your hand up.
He never put it down, so I wasn't sure.
Oh, okay, continue on, sorry.
Hello, hello.
We hear you.
Sorry about, I got my mic working. I just had a question about monitoring in the canals on the L67 and L29 just upstream of the area that's going to be dredged. I mean, that might get us a better handle about how much of the high concentration at S333 is just coming down from the north as compared with the sediment resuspension.
I see Jody walking up, so thank you for walking up to try to address this. Thanks, Jody.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. That actually did come up during the vetting process of our monitoring and assessment plan. So we have 2 monitoring locations, one in the L29 canal, just upstream of the furthest upstream weir, and same in the L67A canal. So those 2 data points will be representative of pre-dredging activities.
Thank you.
And thank you for bringing that up, Bill. All right, so now we are on to the next agenda item, which is a little more general public comment. So I would like to call on Mr. Cook, if you could come up and make your comments. I assume that microphone over there is working, so yes, please. If you don't mind, that would be great. Thanks.
Hi, Newton Cook, United Waterfowlers of Florida. This is always a good meeting. I try to attend it, and a lot of folks come, but the players are here. I guess is a nice way to say it. A lot of credit due seeing the report, because it's tough meeting those numbers, and more or less we're meeting the numbers, and particularly after the problems we had a few years ago with blew with STAs out, and they're doing a lot better now. And unfortunately, they still got too many cattails, but they're doing a lot better. The dirtiest water going into this system comes from Lake Okeechobee. I have one question. Who is responsible for the health of Lake Okeechobee, the ecosystem of the lake? Anybody want to raise their hand? Is the Department of Interior responsible for Lake Okeechobee? They're responsible for Everglades National Park, the refuge. Who is the comparable agency responsible for the health of the heart of the Everglades? South Florida Water Management District? Their hand's not going to go up. Corps of Engineers? Currently, they're destroying the lake with flotsam, kill all the SABs. No chance of recovery. Been told that 3 times. There's recovery built into LOSAM. Takes 90 days, 12 to 13 feet. Not going to happen. Department of Environmental Protection, Florida Department of Environmental Protection, I guess you're here somewhere. You going to raise your hand? Is the federal EPA going to raise your hand? Is anybody going to be responsible for the health of the heart of the Everglades, Lake Okeechobee, where all the dirty water comes from that goes where you're trying to clean up down through the WCAs, the STAs. Terrible. The heart of the Everglades is being destroyed, and not a single agency, state or federal, will take responsibility for what's happening. And I can't blame the Corps too much because they handle water movement. They're not responsible for quality. But the people that are responsible for quality have dropped the ball. Lake Okeechobee lost the ranking of the top 10 bass lakes in North America by Bassmasters. It never has happened. Not a storm, nada. 20 years ago, we had 5 hurricanes. The lake never lost that ranking. Why? All I ask for is a technical oversight committee for Lake Okeechobee. Because if we do not clean up Lake Okeechobee and send cleaner water south, then we'll never meet the requirements at the Tamiami Trail, particularly after any type of storm. Just think if this storm had been 100 to 150 miles south of where it went. Think where we would be today with Lake Okeechobee. Think where this technical oversight would be about 6 months from now, trying to figure out why we're blowing 20, 25, 30 parts per billion phosphorus. We need a committee. We need it now that does nothing but do work to fix the habitats and the health of Lake Okeechobee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. Do we have other public comments from folks? I don't think we have anyone else in the room here. What about on Zoom?
Bill, if you're not going to be speaking again, can you put your hand down, please?
This is John Barquette. I'll make a remark. It was an interesting presentation. I seem to recall some years ago in one of the reports and recommendations that I wrote for the district court, a figure of the number of metric tons of phosphorus in the lake sediments, and then what happens when those sediments are stirred up in terms of the phosphorus levels in the surface water that obviously spike up when the sediments are disturbed. Not sure that the consent decree governs. I'm confident the consent decree doesn't govern Lake Okeechobee, but it is worth thinking about. I understand you can provide solutions to the effects of movement of phosphorus contaminated water, and when those waters contain higher levels because of the release of sediments or release of phosphorus and sediments in the lake, it makes the job of complying much more difficult. But it is a question. It may be outside the TOC's jurisdiction, but it is a question that I think all the agencies might want to think further about in terms of trying to deal with one of the sources of phosphorus into the Everglades ecosystem. If again, it may go way beyond the TOC, but it may not go beyond the interests of the various agencies involved here. So I appreciate the observation. Again, I'm not sure this is the place to solve it, but it may be that folks in the room are creative enough to figure out ways to make some progress there.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other public comments or any other comments from the reps right now? We've got one other thing we have to do today. I do not see any of the Zoom attendees with a hand up, and I'm not able to see if you're muted or not. So right now I'm going to assume you don't have additional comments for now, so thank you for that. We do have one more agenda item, and that is to look at meeting dates for 2025. I know many of us aren't really 100% sure what we're doing in 2025, but we know we're going to be here a few times. And I think Mike is going to actually put up a slide. So we were actually asked to show you guys a slide with a tentative meeting. Would like for us to do our darndest to choose a date for the first meeting of 2025. And we have a little bit of Violetta here right now. So she's gone through the calendars. You can see the series of dates on the calendar for February, June. There's a late September, early October date up there, as well as a couple of dates in December of next calendar year. If we could take a look at the February dates, one of them is Tuesday, the 25th, and another option would be Thursday, February 27th. And Mike, I'm looking at you. This note I have has a date in March. Was that taken off the table? Okay, thanks. Okay, because I've got another note from a document you sent me yesterday that has a different date on it. So we'll go with the ones on the slide. So we're looking at Tuesday, February 25th, or Thursday, February 27th as the first meeting date in 25. Do you guys have comments or preferences, any of you?
This is Donato. My preference is the 25th. Stick with Tuesday.
Can you speak on Lori's behalf, Rolf?
Cannot, so I don't have a preference.
See, okay, great. I am fine with either one of those dates. What about Dan and Ed?
Hey, Julie, this is Ed Smith, DEP. I'm good with either of those dates.
And this is Dan. I'm also good with either date, so I'll back Donato's recommendation to keep to the Tuesday.
Okay, great. I know you guys love Tuesdays. So we will plan on Tuesday, February 5th as the first 2025 date. And then this slide
That's the 25th, right? Not the 5th.
Sorry. What?
You said the 5th. You mean the 25th?
Oh, yes, the 25th. I'm also not very good at holding my finger down to keep the microphone on, so I apologize for that. Are you okay with the 25th then, Mr. Barquette?
I am. Yeah, I would have spoken up. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, you guys. So we will plan on that for 2025. But in the meantime, our next quarterly meeting is Tuesday, December 3rd. And so we'll look for updates and materials from everybody for December 3rd. I don't know if anyone has agenda items right now that they want to propose for the December meeting. But if you do, let us know either now, or you could send us an email between times and get items on the agenda if you have any.
This is John Barquette, and I'll just note that
December
while you
3rd.
moved away from it, June 24th also works for me if you wanted to get that far into next year.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mr. Barquette. I'm pretty sure all the dates on there are fine for me because Violetta would have asked me already, but I think we'll look at the other dates as soon as Lori can weigh in. I think that would be great, so thank you for that. I would ask, and Mike, I guess you're going to have to help us with this. This is probably not posted on the TOC webpage, but if we could email this list of dates to the reps so that we can work through future planning, and Mr. Barquette too, of course, that would really help out. Okay, does anyone have any closing remarks or anything else for today's meeting? Okay, I actually do not see anyone unmuting at the moment, and those of us in the room don't have any further remarks for today, except maybe Donato.
Yes, so the last thing that just happened was you were going to have them send us an email. Are you expecting us to reply, or are we going to deal with the dates at the next TOC meeting, as you suggested?
I'm fine if we deal with them at the next meeting. I just wanted you guys to have these in writing because we usually read them off and then don't tell you again, so.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much. All right, I think that's it for today. So thank you all for attending. We will officially adjourn. Thank you.